You walked past one 1,000 times. The blue plastic box at the edge of a construction site. The row of them behind the stage at a festival. And if you've ever had to actually use one, you probably held your breath the whole time. Here's what you never thought about. That box is one of the quietly most profitable machines in American business. A single portable toilet costs about $900 to buy. It can bring in $125 to $225 every single month, for years. So the plan looks obvious. Buy cheap plastic boxes, rent them out, sit back and count the money. Except that's not the business at all, because a portable toilet company isn't really selling you a toilet. It's selling you a seat on a truck's route, and the toilet is almost an afterthought. Let's start with how big this actually is. Portable toilet rental in the United States is a $3.3 billion industry. And here's the strange part. Nobody owns it. The market is so split up that no single company holds even 5% of it. Think about that. Phones, search engines, soda, 2 or 3 giants own almost everything. In porta potties, thousands of small local operators split the pie. Hold on to that fact. It's going to matter more than you'd guess. Now, the product itself comes in tiers. A basic standard unit, the one you're picturing, runs about $900 to $1,200 new. An ADA accessible unit costs $1,600 to $3,000. And a luxury restroom trailer, the kind with running water, lights, and air conditioning at a wedding, that can run from $10,000 to over $100,000. But most of the industry rides on the cheap plastic box. So who's paying for all this? Roughly half the money comes from one place: construction. A job site needs toilets for months, sometimes years. That's steady, boring, recurring income. The rest comes from events, disaster relief, and recreation. Weddings, festivals, marathons, hurricanes. And each of those customers has a completely different rhythm, which is exactly where operators get rich or go broke. So where does the money actually go? Start with the box. A new standard unit is about $900. A used one can be as low as $300. Rent it to a construction site at $150 a month, and it pays for itself in roughly 6 months. Everything after that is profit. The plastic lasts for years, so the toilet is cheap, suspiciously cheap, which raises the obvious question. If the product pays for itself in half a year, why isn't everyone doing this and getting rich? Here's the first hidden cost. Every one of those toilets has to be cleaned, usually once a week. Someone has to drive out, pump the tank, scrub and sanitize it, restock the paper, drop in fresh deodorizer. And that means a truck. A used service truck, a vacuum tank bolted onto a chassis, starts around $15,000. Then fuel. Then a driver's wages. Then the dumping fee, because you cannot just pour human waste anywhere. It has to go to a licensed treatment plant, and they charge you per load. And it doesn't stop there. To haul that waste legally, you need a liquid waste hauler permit, which can take 30 to 90 days to get. Before you're even approved, you have to call the local treatment plant and confirm they'll accept your waste at all. Then insurance. Then a place to store the units in the off-season. Then repairs, because door springs snap, latches break, and a vandal can crack a tank overnight. None of these costs are dramatic on their own, but notice what every single one of them has in common. Not one is about the toilet. They're about the truck, the drive, the driver, the dumping. And here's the strange part, that disgusting, unglamorous side, the part nobody wants to touch, is exactly what protects you. The permits, the treatment plant access, the willingness to handle sewage, that's the wall keeping casual competitors out. The gross part is the moat. Now here's the idea that runs this entire industry. It's called route density. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Picture 2 companies. Both own exactly 100 toilets. Both charge the same rent. On paper, identical businesses. Company A has its units scattered all over the county. 1 here, 3 there. A cluster 40 minutes away. Company B has its 100 units packed into a few tight zones. Same neighborhoods, same few blocks. Now send a driver out to service them. Company A's driver spends the whole day just driving. A few stops, then a long haul to the next. Fuel burning, hours ticking, and only a handful of toilets cleaned by sundown. Company B's driver parks once and services 10 units, barely moving the truck. Same wages, same fuel, same 8-hour day, but 3 times the work done. Read that again. 2 companies, the same 100 toilets, the same prices, and one of them quietly earns several times the profit of the other. The difference isn't the product, it's the map. This is the whole game. A porta-potty company doesn't win by owning more toilets. It wins by owning toilets that sit close together. The plastic box was never the asset, the route was the asset. And now that fact from earlier snaps into place. Remember how no company owns more than 5% of the market? This is why. You can't run a tight, dense route from 500 miles away. Density is local by nature. So the business resists the giants and stays broken into thousands of small operators, each one defending its own little cluster of streets. The smell you're holding your breath against? To the owner, it's almost irrelevant. What they're really selling is a technician's time, measured in stops per hour, not toilets on a lot. So that settles it, right? Keep your routes tight, your units clustered, and you print money forever. Well, not quite, because one company understood route density better than anyone alive, and it still collapsed. Meet United Site Services. Starting around the year 2000, it did something clever. Instead of growing slowly, it bought. One local operator after another, folding each into a bigger national machine. By 2017, it had made over 130 acquisitions. A private equity firm took it over and kept buying. At its peak, United Site Services owned roughly 350,000 portable toilets, the largest fleet in the entire country. And for a while, it worked beautifully. Around 2021, its core profit margin hit about 35%. Then the ground moved. Construction slowed down. Remember, that's half the industry. Job sites closed, units came off rent. And here's the cruel math of route density running in reverse. When a driver's route drops from 10 stops to 5, the truck still costs the same. The fuel still costs the same. The wages still cost the same. But the revenue is cut in half. The costs barely move. The margin gets crushed. That 35% profit margin fell to around 22% in just 2 years. And a company buried under debt from all those acquisitions couldn't survive the squeeze. United Site Services, the company that owned more toilets than anyone in America, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Not because people stopped needing toilets, because the routes got thin. So how does a healthy operator actually make money? The equation is simple. Take the monthly rent on one unit, say $150. It gets serviced about 4 times a month. On a tight route, each of those visits costs the company only a little in fuel, labor, and dumping, because the driver is barely moving between stops. Subtract that, and a big chunk of that $150 is profit. Now spread that same unit across town. The exact same visit now eats far more fuel and far more of the driver's day. The revenue didn't change. The cost doubled. And a unit that made money on a dense route can actually lose money on a sparse one. That's the entire business hiding inside one toilet. Across a well-run company, the net profit margin lands around 20 to 25% after everything. A small operator with 15 or 20 units can pull $50,000 to $150,000 a year. Not a fortune, but steady and remarkably recession-resistant. Now the choice every operator wrestles with: construction or events. Construction is boring money. Same site, same units, same weekly service for months. Predictable, dense. An event is the opposite. A festival might pay $150 to $300 per unit for a single weekend, far more per toilet. But events punish sloppiness, narrow delivery windows, awkward placement, And on a hot day with food and alcohol, usage jumps 30 to 40%. So a unit that needed 1 weekly cleaning suddenly needs 3, and the extra revenue vanishes into extra trips. The best operators don't pick one. They use dense, reliable construction contracts to keep the trucks full, and let events be the high-margin bonus on top, never the foundation. So picture the same business, 2 ways. In the first, you're a local operator. 20 units, all within a tight radius. 1 truck, 1 good driver. Routes so efficient, your cost per stop stays tiny. Construction pays the bills every month. Events pad your summer. And you clear a genuinely comfortable living from a fleet of plastic boxes nobody around you thinks about twice. In the second, you're the roll-up. Hundreds of thousands of units, spread across a whole country, bought with borrowed money on the promise that sheer scale would keep the routes full. And the day those routes thinned, the same size that once felt like strength became the weight that dragged you under. Same product, same $900 boxes, wildly different endings, because it was never about the toilets. It was about the distance between them. So the next time you walk past that blue box at the edge of a job site and you hold your breath, remember, you're not looking at a toilet, you're looking at one stop on somebody's route. And whether that route makes them rich or breaks them has almost nothing to do with the box itself. If a plastic box you've ignored your whole life just got interesting, you're going to like the rest of what we do here. We take the boring businesses hiding in plain sight and pull back the panel on the strange machine running underneath. Subscribe, and next we'll break down another one you walk past every day without a second thought. Because the most profitable businesses are almost never the ones that look profitable.